Are you a woman over 50, possibly transitioning through the perimenopausal phase, maybe into postmenopause already, and you're considering intermittent fasting, but you have some worries, specifically around calories, and if you should count calories, or are you going to get enough calories if you start intermittent fasting? If that is you, welcome to today's video. I'm going to be helping you understand why intermittent fasting is the best kept secret when it comes to calories and how we can really utilize calories efficiently and why we will no longer need to count our calories. My name is Diane Parham. I am a postmenopausal woman. For the past 8 years, I have been coaching women on intermittent fasting and how to use intermittent fasting as the most amazing tool to help us transition through this menopausal season and have the opportunity to really understand how our body is working, specifically hormonally. So grab yourself a bottle of water, maybe a cup of black coffee, and let's get into the conversation. So we already know that perimenopause and menopause is a hormonal season of change. We now know that weight gain, inability to lose weight, and the obesity epidemic is also hormone related. This is why so many women transitioning through the menopausal season of change are so frustrated with their body fat, their inability to lose weight, and all of the other things that are going on with our body. We think that it's just the sex hormones that are the problem, but what we need to understand, and what I've talked about in many other videos, is that we have a whole host of hormones that are responding and reacting to our menopausal hormone change. And this is where so many of us are ending up so frustrated. So how does intermittent fasting help with this? And why is it that we no longer have to count calories? Well, the truth is we never really needed to count calories in the first place. That is just one of those things that we have been sold and really conditioned to believe based on the diet industry and the food industry. Our body is actually so intelligent and knows how to manage caloric intake and expenditure all on its own. We have just been getting in the way and interrupting our body's natural ability to do that for us. And I think this is why we're seeing obesity and weight gain now across all age groups and not just specific age groups. But we're going to talk about us today as menopausal women. When we enter into a fasted state, which means we've been fasting for at least 12 hours, our insulin has the opportunity to balance itself back out. So we're at like a starting point for our insulin for the day. Now, why is this important? When we're constantly feeding ourselves, or we're in an insulin responsive type of situation with our hormones, and insulin is always high and present in our system, we don't have the ability to tap into storage and utilize what it is we are all so unhappy with, which is that body fat and that weight gain. We cannot have insulin at high levels and also tap into storage and utilize fat, which is extra weight and what we visibly see in the fat we're carrying on our body. And this is why intermittent fasting is so powerful. When we understand that the longer we are in a fasted state, the more opportunity we have for our body to turn inward and consume what we have been packing away as storage. That storage is also calories. I mean, that's just what energy is. Fat and weight and all the things that we are trying to get rid of are just stored up calories that we have consumed in the past and have not had the opportunity or the environment to utilize them. So then when our estrogen drops and our insulin responds by increasing, and we haven't changed our habits around caloric intake, or we haven't changed our habits around what it is we're eating, this is where we really become frustrated and start packing on the pounds. We've just eliminated the opportunity for our body to work in our favor. So in that fasted state, like I said, at that 12 hours is really where the magic starts to happen, and why we talk about the 20-hour fast here specifically in our community. Because we're giving our body the opportunity to have 8 solid hours. So let's think about that. 12 hours is when we start that fasted state, and we're going to stay in that fasted state for 8 more hours. So a full day of work, a full day of opportunity for our body to be able to turn inward and utilize a lot of those calories that we have been storing up. So this is how our basal metabolic rate really works for us. When our body turns inward and finds calories that we have put into storage, let's say for instance, we're going to find 500 calories in that 20-hour fasting window. Starting at hour 12, we're going to stay in that fasted state for 8 more hours. We're not going to do anything to create a new insulin response. No calories are going in, nothing that's going to create a hormonal response because of something we're putting in that's new. Our body goes into a state of stress, which is a beautiful state of stress that we want it to be in to do its job. We have that fight or flight response. We do have a little bit of a cortisol response, and we have an increase in human growth hormone. All 3 of these responses when we're in a fasted state triggers our body to find food for survival. Now, I know that that seems like it should be a really bad environment for our body, but in truth, it's where our body thrives. It is taking an opportunity to turn inward because you are making a very conscious decision to not create a new insulin response with new calories coming in, and your body says, I got you, girl. I'm going to go in and find what you have in storage. Let's say it's that 500 calories. So your body finds 500 calories in storage when you are staying in a fasted state. Then you open up your feasting window when you break your fast. And if you're still thinking that you have to count calories, you're going to focus on consuming food based on that assumption of calories needed. Let's say, for instance, you think you need to consume 2,000 calories. Regardless of what your hunger hormones are telling you or how you're feeling in your feasted state, you're going to eat those 2,000 calories. So now you've consumed new calories in the amount of 2,000. You've just utilized out of storage 500 calories. So your full caloric intake for that day was 2,500 calories. Well, what if your basal metabolic burn rate isn't 2,500 calories? Maybe it's because your life is slowed down or you're just not utilizing as much energy as you used to, and so your set point is less than 2,500 calories. My friend, you just overate for the day. And you really haven't given your body the opportunity to lose weight or to tap into fat storage as a source of new energy. So let's talk about how we can fix this with intermittent fasting and how beautiful and freeing it is for us to not have to worry about managing calories anymore. So let's go back to that we just fasted for 20 hours scenario. The 12 hours is when we really start to hit that magic. Our insulin is at its new set point. We stay fasted for a full 8 hours. We're going to give our body the full opportunity to have a great day of working for us. We don't create any new insulin responses, and we are tapping into that storage. We just utilized 500 beautiful calories that are annoying us in the form of body fat and maybe just weight and inflammation in general. And then we open up our feasting window. And instead of tracking to a calorie count, we take a moment to just pause, take a breath, and think, how am I feeling right now? And if you're feeling satiated and you're feeling energized, your body has just provided you with a nice amount of calories to get you through that fasted state, and you really have an opportunity to go off that feeling of being satiated. This is where a lot of women inside the intermittent fasting for today's Aging Woman course get to that 20-hour mark and they're like, I'm not even hungry. I fasted for 22 hours. That's when you know the magic is happening for you. There is nothing wrong with that. You just go those extra 2 hours, and then when you open up your feasting window, you're going to feast until you are satiated. Now, it does take a little bit of time to build up this trust and really be able to cue into those hunger signals and trust that what they're telling you is really working on your behalf. And yes, when you first start intermittent fasting, your hunger hormones are still a little mad at you and they're still firing off a little bit inaccurately, right? And that's okay. So you might feel a little bit hungrier during that first break fast experience, and you might eat a little more than maybe what your body needs. But in about 4 or 5 days, everything starts to balance itself out. your metabolic burn rate starts to correct itself. Your body gets really efficient and starts trusting you in that fasted state. It'll have the opportunity to find more calories to go in and take out of storage and provide for you in the way of energy, so that when you open up that feasting window, you can comfortably and confidently just ease your way into feasting again and trust the hunger cues that your body is sending you. Now let's talk a little bit about nutrition and how do we really play on the favor of those hunger hormones. So this is where understanding macronutrients is really beneficial, or really concentrating on choosing nutrient-dense foods and really being honest with ourselves. Now, there are going to be people who say, I fasted for 20 hours and that's allowing me to eat whatever I want and I don't gain any weight. I say, girlfriend, bless up. If that's you, you go do your thing. I have never been blessed with those kind of genes, and I really do concentrate on my feasting window really fueling me for a really efficient fast the next day. So remember that macronutrients are going to be balanced out in your feasting window for the best results in your next fast. Protein being one of the macronutrients. It's very satiating and will also help you with what it is we want to have as aging women, and that's keeping up that lean muscle mass. And it is one of those macronutrients that we just need to make sure we're getting plenty of in our feasting window. Healthy fats, again, are another macronutrient that's going to help make that feeling of fullness, help keep you satiated. And when we get them from one ingredient or natural sources of food, can really be beneficial with what it is we want to do with balancing out those hunger hormones and helping us get the nutrients that we need, making sure that we're very honest with ourselves about where our carbohydrate sources are coming from. Now, why is this important? Well, I like to teach from the concept of draining our tanks. So what do I mean by that? Well, the hormone problem, the obesity problem, the weight gain problem, the fat hoarding problem comes from the fact that when we are in an insulin-induced environment for most of our day, our glucose is what we're not able to utilize throughout our 24-hour day, and that's to go into storage. This is why so many women are ending up insulin resistant or pre-diabetic. It's a sugar problem that we have simply because our insulin is running the show. Again, why this 20-hour fast is so powerful for so many of us, because we get to that 12-hour point, we let our insulin balance itself back out, and then we get to keep it in control for that extra 8 hours. The opportunity that we have to get glucose levels back down and really start dumping what we have in those storage tanks. Remember, we cannot utilize fat as an energy source when glucose is abundant because insulin is out of control. So once we get our glucose regulated and we get those tanks drained down, then we have the opportunity to start dipping into that body fat as our next energy source. Glucose will be used first, then we have the opportunity to get into those fat stores. Again, consistency over time with intermittent fasting is going to be the best way to get those tanks drained every 24 hours and not get ourselves back into that storage problem that has got us to this point where we're seeking some relief. So calories have never really been the thing that we should have been tracking or monitoring at all, but especially as postmenopausal women, because of the fact that we are just more inclined to store than we are to utilize, especially when our hormones are out of balance. The important thing is listening to those hunger cues. If you are full, you are full. If you eat out of fear, if you eat out of stress, and if you eat out of emotion, you are overeating. Eat to your hunger cues. Don't eat for emotional satisfaction. There is nothing to be afraid of when you are fasting correctly and feasting on nutrient-dense foods. Your body is going to get everything that it needs to run at tip-top form. You become so efficient at tapping into your own storage for your body's caloric needs that what you do in your feasting window will be so easy. No calorie counting, just be honest with yourself about where your nutrients are coming from, and then listen to those hunger cues. Girlfriend, if you're full, you're full. Make sure you're not eating out of fear, emotional stress, or worry, and your body will do all the rest of the work. So let's just break it down in summary. So a few takeaways I want you to have with you to just keep in your memory bank when you're fasting long and feasting well. We want to make sure that we are creating an environment for our body every day to efficiently drain our tanks. The last meal we consume will be the first thing that our body needs to utilize before it will go into storage. So feasting to fast is very, very important when we're using intermittent fasting as a means to reset our hunger hormones. The second thing that we want to remember is we don't want to create new insulin responses in our fasting window. That is the most important thing, getting that insulin back in control and moving from insulin resistance to insulin sensitivity, where insulin is now working in our favor. We're going to drain those glucose tanks and we're going to get ourselves as quickly and efficiently as possible into fat utilization and internal storage burning. And then when we are in our feasting window, listen to those hunger cues. Girlfriend, if you are energized and you are satiated, you are fine. There is no need to eat out of fear or any kind of emotional stress. And when you learn to trust your body will trust you, and you will become so efficient at utilizing storage, burning off all those things that we are so unhappy with, and loving the skin that you're in with no time, no stress, and no worry about getting those calories right. Your body's going to do that work for you. I hope today's video allowed you to have a mindset shift about your body, about counting calories, about trusting what's going on, and about your hormones. And that if you fast long, create an environment for your body to tap into storage, utilize calories that you already have in place, and then feast in a very conscious way to support what it is you say you want for yourself. Create the best opportunity for your next fasted state to drain those tanks, and you consistently repeat this process. Girlfriend, calorie counting will be a thing of the past. Your body will lose the weight that you want it to lose. You'll be able to tap into some of those fat stores that you're unhappy with, and you will just get to go live your most authentic life. Trust your body, balance your hormones, and just listen. We don't need to eat out of fear when your body is working on your behalf. Just create that environment. If you're interested in jumping into our intermittent fasting for today's Aging Woman course, we do have one starting the first Friday of every month. Please make sure that you click the little information box. That will get you all the information that you need about our next course. You can register there if you want, or you can just get on my email list. I will send out email invitations when we get closer to our next course launch. I love you being here. I hope you are feeling some relief, like I said, about your changing body, and that you can, in fact, have everything that you say that you want. We just need to not be afraid and start to learn to trust our body and listen to those hunger hormones.